Okay, so this video clip's explaining the process of coming up with a name and how we generate the name from nothing into a corporate identity. Before we do that, let's have a quick look at the exam board spec so we know why we're doing it. It does say here that we need to show an excellent understanding of the design context, and by this we mean that we're actually going to take the corporate identity, break it down into the names, what makes up a name, and prove and show and justify that we follow the process to come to a solution. It also says that there needs to be a detailed analysis or a comprehensive analysis of the relevant existing products and systems. The design process is a system. What we're hopefully going to do is use the design process and justify it to show that we've created a solution. Okay, now what we're doing today as well with name also fits into the second part of criterion 2, which is to say that we followed a coherent and appropriate design strategy that shows clear evidence of a planned approach, and it's also going to help us to create and develop an original name. Okay, so let's move on to what we're going to look at now. Okay, so this is what we went through for the lessons. We decided that when we went through it, that a name, a corporate name, is related roughly or broken down into the following objects. Now I'm not going to go through this again, but it is your basis to start generating names. It gives you ideas of where to get names coming from. So names around the person, using initials, so you can start by using your initials and generating names that way. Acronyms, letters that stand for something else. Anagrams, a good way of starting to generate ideas is to break down your name, write your name down, use the letters in your name to come up with other words, a bit like harpo and opera. Descriptions of what it is. If you're doing a games company, try not to use games in everything that you do. Try and make it so it evolves around the subject and the product rather than just having games in the name. Location, very easy to do. Think of the location that you're actually going to be putting the shop into, or a desired location, or things that make up the location. So we could talk about things like Games Village, Games City, Games County, all these sort of things. Global Games, Games Island, all these sort of things. You can use locations to think of the ideas for it. Text speak. If you're aiming for a young market, you can use things like text speed, like GamesMate with the M and the 8. That's one way of generating ideas. The main thing is though, try and keep them short, keep them snappy, and if we can, make sure it's associated to the business. People like to see that things do exactly as what it says on the tin. In other words, if it is this, then it will do this, because it makes things less confusing. Okay then. Right, well I've gone ahead and started doing some of my designs, and this sort of clip is really just to explain how we put it all together and where we got the ideas from. So I'm just going to go to view and I'm going to click onto normal, so mine's coming back, and there we go. Okay, well I use the template right in the top corner. I will try and zoom in at this point just to show you where we're at. I will close that down in a second. And as with any sheet and any section that you're going to try and do, the first thing you need to do is explain to the examiner why you've included this sheet in here. And so this bit really here is the introduction as to why I've included it. It's explaining what I've done, how I've gone about doing it. So it says that the first thing that I did was to brainstorm amongst the group, which we did in class. Call it a collaboration if you wish, but it was to bounce ideas and stimulate the mind. In other words, to link things into other sort of zones or areas that your brain wouldn't normally think of. The next stage that I did was to start writing down the ideas and literally leave things open for a week. So rather than say, right, I'm going to get everything done this lesson, I left the actual sheets out on the table in the office, and as I was walking past, I just added things each day. And by the end of the week, I come up with over 300 names. So that's one of the ways. The other things that I did is I actually looked at game magazine books and things that have got keywords in, or things that might stimulate me to think of games names or things related to specific games, which we'll look at in a second. And the other thing as well is using the good old-fashioned thesaurus and dictionary. So when I come up with words, I looked at the thesaurus to see if it would suggest any other words that would then give me ideas of literally where to go with it. So where I've looked at things like games dungeon, it started looking at words like freedom and convict, things like that. So it allowed me to create more words from that one idea that I had, and that's another way of doing it. It's very, very difficult to come up with ideas from scratch. You have to use these research methods to help you. I've included onto my designs there, if I can just zoom in a bit more, the actual worksheets that I've done and all the names that I've written down, and that's just as evidence to show that I've actually gone through this process. It's something I've done. And also there it is with the pictures and the books and reference materials that I've used. Right, so what happens next then? Well, the next stage was to, if I just zoom out a little bit, start doing pretty much what it said on our little brainstorm that we did up here. So the easiest one to start with was anagrams. So I took my name, and from my name, all the letters there, I could make 10 names straight away, just based on the letters in my name. So that's an easy way to start generating ideas. The text speak, that's easy as well. All I did was look at things that was common within text, any words that I could abbreviate, and within that I've created another 8 names. Now some of the things that I've mentioned is I've done the write-up and justified them, because I've explained how I've done it here, is that I've actually explained that some are unsuitable, so oh my god, or things that have got expletives in, anything like that that we wouldn't be able to use on the high street for various reasons. So those are the things you've got to explain why you're not using them. So that's the first part of it. And it's also said right at the bottom, after this section it becomes increasingly difficult to categorise them into the rest of the shop names. So I couldn't really break them down into descriptions, brand names, or things related to the games. Some of the area ones are quite easy to do. But I then explained that the way around it would be, and if I just zoom out a second, to actually import them onto an Excel sheet, and I'll show you that briefly now. Okay, so what I did was I typed up all the names off the sheets that I've got, and I placed them into rough areas that I thought that actually suited. At this point I decided that I couldn't categorise them, I couldn't put them into things like, so prestige games clearly refers to COD, but I couldn't really put them into different categories. So the first stage I needed to do is put these in alphabetical order so it looked logical. So when we talk about systems and having a logical system from the exam board, that's exactly what we did. So all I did there literally was a case of copying the areas. So just copied it, Control X, placed it underneath, Control V, and there they were. So I did that for all of these. So I'm just going to imagine that all those have been done. What I did next then was literally just clicked onto where it's got A, right mouse click, insert, typed in the number 1, and from that point I then typed in the formula so I can add these up. So number 1, and it's something like equal sum, open the brackets, and if I type in that one, then plus 1, that means that it's 2. I can just then copy that one, Control C, Control V, right the way down, and it should just hopefully add the numbers up as we're going through them, which it does. And then all I did was very simply click onto this sort of category, number B, where it's got data, clicked onto data, sorted it A to Z, and there we go, and it's put it all in alphabetical order. Okay, so it was easy for me to do. And once I've done that, all I've done then is just copied it and pasted it onto the sheet. So let me just close down Excel, and there we go. So we started with the lettering at the top, and I started to put all my design ideas onto the page. So first of all, what you need to do is think about the layout of your page. Now you can see as I click through the pages, I've got quite a lot of these. And the next slide, or the next video clip that I actually create, will go a bit more into depth about the information that we put on and sorting out the names.